I'm with Mick Schumacher from Haas Formula One. And Mick, I should point out at the beginning, I covered your father's entire career for American television. I hope you know all of his legions of fans here are holding him in their thoughts. And I will apologize in advance if I accidentally refer to you as Michael rather than Mick. It was totally accidental.
That's all right.
Okay, then off we go. So 2 days into the first test of these brand new Formula One cars, Mick, what are your thoughts on the way your testing has gone in the new Haas creation?
Yeah, I think that obviously we had a bit of a tougher time yesterday. I didn't get to do many laps. Nonetheless, we got to do some this morning, which was good. I think we did. We covered more laps in one morning session than what we did in yesterday. So yesterday's session, we learned a lot. I mean, obviously the cars have some different traits compared to last year. We are at the moment, most of the teams are bouncing around mid straight to the end of straight, which is a bit of a funny feeling to begin with, but you get used to it, and obviously all teams are trying to fix that. I think we're in a good way. So yeah, I think so far so good, and we're ready to roll in Bahrain.
You are looking ahead next month to your 23rd birthday, so your experience is somewhat limited. Is this car noticeably different from anything you've driven before, and is that creating any issues for you?
Not really. Obviously, it's still similar to a 2021 car, just because we're going around corners pretty quick, and the feeling in that sense is the same. Obviously, the car is a bit heavier. You do feel that the downforce feels a bit different. It's just you have to, I think, realign a bit your judgments and how you feel and perceive things. But nonetheless, I think we're so used to changing cars, and obviously you do it since go-karting. You move up to Formula 4, then Formula 3, then Formula 2. So we've gone through stages where we have already changed cars and had to readapt our driving. So it hasn't really been that much of a challenge to change in that sense. And yeah, the car still feels like a Formula 1 car.
Well, that's a great point about changing cars. I understand your teammate Mazepin has had his own issues today getting in the car. Is the trouble he suffered similar to what you went through on day one?
No, as it seems, it's not similar. So we were struggling a bit with reliability in the first day, just because of that bouncing. I think most teams were. On the other hand, I think right now what Nikita's suffering seems to be more of a fuel pump issue. So yeah, hopefully he'll get out and do some laps soon so that we can get some more data.
In the overall sense, how are these cars to drive compared to your experience with last year's car?
I would say not that different. Again, the cars obviously are a bit heavier, so they will feel lazier overall. The car does not handle curves as well as last year. I think that's mainly down to the tires being 18-inch rims now compared to last year's 13-inch. So it's basically taking out a spring element in that case, which does give a different feedback. But generally, I think that we're on a good way of understanding the car and putting it into a position where it should feel very similar to how last year's car felt. Because obviously, we didn't do any development on last year's car, so it kind of felt bad. So I guess for us, the bad is standard, and therefore our car felt good. And for a lot of people this year, their car feels bad. So yeah, I think that we've been catching up a lot, and I think we're again going into the right direction. And most people have suffered quite a big loss in terms of downforce because of the regulation changes.
That's a very optimistic way to look at it. The tires are particularly interesting. Obviously, you say they're affecting things over curves and such because of the differences in the suspension. Does that explain why we're seeing some, fairly radical configurations out there in terms of what the other teams are doing with pull rod, push rod, and clearances and all that sort of thing? Is that all down to the new 18-inch wheels and tires?
Yeah, basically it is down to tires, but also the whole new rules that have been given by Formula One, that they wanted to not have that outwash to the sides, but actually have the outwash to the top of the car. So like the floor, the diffuser basically has become very powerful, and it's the main tool at the moment, and it basically stretches over the whole car, which is, compared to last year, which was only a meter long, and this year it's like what, 5 meters long. So it does, add a lot of characteristics and downforce in different areas compared to last year. So like high speed corners, the quicker we go, the more downforce we get, and therefore low speed corners we actually lose downforce. And that's the thing that was the other way around last year. So because we didn't need the downforce in high speed as much as we did in low speed, the whole shaping of last year's car was mainly made to have a good feeling in low speed corners. But high speed corners, because we had DRS and such, we didn't actually need to pile up that much downforce. That makes sense. So we still could go around things quite quickly.
Well, you certainly sound positive about what you've experienced thus far, and you've been posting some, reasonably competitive times in the mid-pack now and again. We all know not to look at opening day testing times with anything other than a squint, but what are your goals for yourself and the team going ahead in 2022 based on what you've seen thus far this early in the testing?
Well, I think that you could say that if we're being optimistic, probably consistently in the points would be the target. Being consistently in Q2 and have maybe Q3 appearance here and there would be great. But nonetheless, I think we'll just have to wait and see how Bahrain goes, and that's probably the first time we'll really see everybody showing everything they've got, and basically going down in terms of fuel, and also put on the right wings and stuff, which some teams might not do at the moment because they're just trying out and trying to be, doing mileage, because I think it's going to be concerning for a lot of teams this year if they're even going to make, the whole race distance without any issues.
With that in mind, do you believe that all the teams are out there trying as hard as they can? I'm sure you're familiar with the concept of sandbagging and testing.
Yeah, I think that most teams are trying to sandbag. We don't obviously know how much each team is, but I could imagine that obviously the top teams are piling up quite a lot of fuel and putting on the sandbags in different spots. But I think that so are the teams in the lower field, and it's just a matter of, I think, focusing on ourselves and trying to figure out what we need before actually looking out to what are the others doing. And I think once we've fixed everything we want to fix, then I think it's time to have a look at what everybody else is doing, and I'm sure that we'll find some interesting ideas from other teams as well.
Gotcha. Last year, perhaps the media exploited it, but there were some spicy relationships between you and your teammate, Nikita. How are you going into this season? What's the status of the intra-team relationships?
Well, I guess you could say that we're trying to be as professional as we can, work together and trying to bring the team up to speed and into the direction that for us, for both of us, works the best. I think that, it's important that we work together as a team in that case, and give the right feedback, and not trying to only look onto lap times, but actually what is happening in the car.
Do you see a significant uptick in progress within the team now that you have this new relationship with Ferrari, with dedicated personnel on the ground in Maranello and so forth? Yeah,
I definitely feel people being super excited and obviously having something to look forward to, and that's nice to experience, and being a part of it. Myself as a Ferrari driving academy driver is quite interesting too, and having the combination of both having the big team looking over what we're doing, and we being able to also kind of use their facilities like the wind tunnel obviously helps us in some very core places.
Here's a question I'm sure you thought might be coming. You are a German driver driving for an American team with a Russian teammate and Russian sponsorship, and now we have this horrific situation unfolding with the invasion of Ukraine. What's the temperature up and down the pit lane with regard to this news, and what's your personal feeling?
Well, it's it's shocking to see, and very sad in many ways. Um, I think it's very hard. I think for anybody, uh, at least that I know, to imagine how it must be to be in that position right now. But I'm sure that the team and F1 will take the right decision, right, and will put the right direction, let's say, on to what we're going to do in the future. But obviously, yeah, it's extremely sad to see what is happening right now.
The president of the Grand Prix Drivers Association, Sebastian Vettel, with Aston Martin, says he definitely will not race in Sochi should the Russian Grand Prix go forward. And other drivers have spoken at some level of support for the idea of not racing in Russia. Do you have a position personally at this point?
Not at this point, no.
Okay. Um, your father, Michael, was notorious, if that's the right word, for his commitment to the technical side, doing all the testing for his Ferrari team and so forth, and even with the Benetton squad. You sound like you are technically astute as well. Are you like your father in that way? Do you think that you like to get involved in the technology and the development rather than, say, just going testing and then going home?
No, definitely, I enjoy it. I like being part of it, and being able to even through some ideas, even though I'm no engineer, I feel like I've gathered some experience over the years, and even if it does help in some ways, and even if it doesn't, it just might open a thought for some people. So yeah, I like to be involved, and I like to hear what's going on, so that maybe I can react in some other ways when I'm driving, and say how it is from my point of view.
The last time I spoke with your dad, we talked about motorcycles. Do you share his love of two-wheeled riding?
Yeah, I guess I do some ways. Probably not on track at the moment. I'm a bit afraid of that, I guess. But
Sure.
I do enjoy it, and I think it's a passion. I like riding motorcycles around, and I do own myself a few. So yeah, I think it's a nice hobby.
How about your mother's passion for horses? Are you an equestrian?
I wouldn't say I am, but I'd let that my sister's hobby really. But I do enjoy spending some time with her. I do go probably in the next few weeks. I'll be in Dallas, so uh, get to spend some time in the States with my sister and riding, hopefully, which is fun at times. But obviously, I probably would prefer 1,000 horsepower than only one.
Does your family still own property here in the United States?
Yeah, we do. We do have a ranch in like Gordonville, I think it's called, and it's quite close to Sherman.
Excellent. How did you
Yeah.
spend your time during the off season?
Well, I spent it there actually. I went to northern Texas and spent some time in the States. Went to visit Arizona, Scottsdale, and Phoenix. So yeah, I've been around a bit, and went to look at what you guys got around there.
You are a cowboy. Um, your cousin David, son of your uncle Ralph, has embarked on a motorsports career of his own. He's well along in the lower formula right now. Do you talk with him about his career and about what life is like at the very top level?
Yeah, I guess we do talk at times, more than we used to, which is nice. As I understood, I think he's I don't know. I'm not sure quite currently what his official status is, but I wish him all the best, and that at some point maybe he finds his way to Formula One too.
Excellent. Is there? I know you're young and you're just getting started in your Grand Prix career, but do you think about other forms of motorsport you might like to try? Say, going to race in America full time, or race at Le Mans the 24 hours, or anything like that? Top Fuel Dragster, perhaps?
Yeah, I think I'm open to that thought. Right now, though, my focus is Formula One, but I'm keen on trying some other forms of racing, and mainly for fun. And I guess that, yeah, what the future holds, we'll see. But I'm sure I'll hopefully be able to spend a lot of time in here.
Excellent. Well, I hope I haven't overstepped your time. I appreciate you spending time with us.